The moment they forced me into a rigid 8:15 to 3:30 schedule, I realized something they didn't. If I followed their rules exactly, I could shut down the entire organization and walk out on time. I worked for a massive nonprofit community center, one of those places that does everything. We had a daycare, an adult education program, physical therapy for seniors and people with disabilities, programs for immigrants and unemployed residents, cafeterias, a restaurant, and 6 large assisted living buildings spread across the city. When I started, the organization had around 80 employees. By the time this happened, we were well over 200. And for most of those years, I was the only IT person. One guy, every computer, every server, every network switch, every printer, every user account, every password reset, every the Wi-Fi is down, every my system won't load, every emergency, me. I loved the job, and I was good at it. I kept things running so smoothly that most people forgot how fragile everything actually was. That smoothness only existed because of one simple agreement. I was salaried, no timesheets, no hourly tracking. And in return for being available basically all the time, I had a fully flexible schedule. I worked when the work needed to be done, not when a clock said I should be sitting at a desk. Small maintenance? After everyone left. Medium maintenance? After closing, sometimes into the night. Big maintenance? Weekends. For years, I practically lived at the office during major updates. I'd bring a sleeping bag, take short naps, and keep going. And because overtime didn't exist for me on paper, leadership and I had a handshake deal that became an accepted norm. If I worked extra hours at night or over the weekend, I'd take the time back the next day. Sometimes I'd come in late. Sometimes I'd take half a day. Sometimes after a brutal overnight, I'd take the next day off entirely. It was transparent. I always emailed the entire organization ahead of time. Maintenance tonight, expect downtime, I'll be offline tomorrow morning. Contact me by email or phone if something is urgent. No one complained for 12 years. Then we hired a new project manager. She was middle-aged, came from a corporate environment, and the kind of person who could walk into a calm room and make it feel tense just by existing. Her eyes had that look, like she was measuring you, like you were a task to control. This was her first nonprofit job, and she acted like our relaxed culture was a personal insult. She nitpicked everything, but her favorite topic was time. Specifically, my time. By then, my title was basically systems administrator. Not the IT guy, but still, I was the IT guy. A big update was coming. Accounting software updates and a few related tasks for our adult education program. Standard procedure for me. I sent the usual organization-wide email the day before. Major maintenance tonight, expected to finish by morning. I'll be out tomorrow. Contact me if anything breaks. I never gave an exact finish time, because anyone who's ever updated production systems knows you don't promise it'll be done by 2 a.m. unless you want to summon disaster. That evening, I waited until the last employee logged out, then started the process. Database conversion, system updates, the normal grind. The conversion took about 6 hours. Everything completed cleanly. I tested what needed testing, made sure core services were stable, and went home. The next morning, I woke up around 7, made coffee, sat down at my gaming PC, and thought, finally, a full day to myself. Around 9, my work phone rang. It was the project manager. She didn't even greet me. She was yelling, "Where the hell are you?" "At home," I said. "I'm taking my comp time. I worked overnight. We have a situation. I need you here right now." My first thought was, great. Something broke. Maybe a service didn't come back up. Maybe accounting can't access their software. Maybe I missed a step. "Okay," I said. "I'll be there in 15 minutes. I lived close enough that it was possible. The entire drive, I replayed the night in my head, trying to imagine what could have gone wrong. Because if accounting had issues, their assistant would have called me first. If the college program had issues, I had contacts there too. I walked straight into her office. "What happened?" I asked. "What's down?" She looked at me like I was an employee she'd been waiting to discipline. "My printer's out of toner," she said. "Bring me a new one." I just stared at her. "That's the emergency?" I said. "Yes," she snapped. "And I want it now." I explained as calmly as I could that toner cartridges were kept on a shelf in the storage room on the first floor. Every desktop printer in the admin wing used the same toner. We had a policy. Employees handled basic printer maintenance themselves, paper, toner, simple stuff, because I didn't have time to be a personal assistant to 200 people. I had literally explained this to her a week earlier. She cut me off. I'm not changing toner cartridges, boy. Do your job. That last word, boy, told me everything I needed to know about what she thought of me. I nodded. Okay. I went downstairs, grabbed a cartridge, came back, replaced it, and walked out. I went home and tried to forget she existed. For a few days, she was quieter. I almost believed that was the end of it. Then, after another round of evening maintenance, she scheduled an administrative meeting. In the room, me, our executive director, our office manager, our new payroll accountant, who also handled HR responsibilities, and her. She took control of the meeting immediately. I want to discuss working hours, she said, loud and confident, because it appears that she gestured toward me like I was a problem file, is taking time off whenever he feels like it. She launched into a speech about fairness, about rules being the same for everyone, about how she assumed in this organization everyone followed the same schedule. I let her talk. Then I explained clearly that while policies were consistent, my work didn't fit a standard schedule. My job required maintenance outside business hours to avoid disruptions. That was the whole reason the flexible arrangement existed. She leaned forward. So, you admit you were home while people were working? Yes, I said, and if there's a problem, they call me. 99% of issues I can solve remotely. That's why I'm on call. She shook her head like she'd caught me. Your home is not your workplace. Your office is your workplace. I looked at the executive director, expecting him to shut this down. He'd approved my schedule for years. He knew the deal. He knew the reality. Instead, he said, "We've discussed it. And moving forward, the old arrangement doesn't apply." I blinked. "Excuse me?" He continued like he was reading a script. "From now on, you will perform all work during normal hours. People don't like that you can take paid time off." I felt something cold settle in my chest. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I just asked one question. "Are you 110% sure," I said slowly, "that you want all my work, including server and network maintenance, done strictly during office hours?" "Yes," the director said. "We'll draft a written agreement." "Good," I said. "Put it in writing." He told me to come by his office before closing. He'd have it ready. I left the meeting and went back to work like normal, but inside my head I was already doing the math. They weren't just changing my schedule. They were removing the mechanism that kept the place running. And if they insisted on rules, I was going to give them rules. That evening, I sat in the director's office and read the new agreement line by line. It was simple, brutal. My work hours, 8:15 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. All work must be performed during those hours. No mention of comp time, no mention of overtime compensation, no mention of notice periods for maintenance. I pointed out what was missing, specifically the part about advance notification, but I did not point out the bigger issue. I didn't explain the consequences. I didn't beg. The director shrugged and said, "Just email everyone in the morning if you're doing maintenance that day." Perfect, I signed. And from that moment, I decided I would follow the agreement exactly. For the first couple weeks, I did small maintenance tasks during lunch hours. The network might go down for an hour or two. People grumbled, but it was manageable. I was waiting. Then, months later, the big one arrived. Major updates for accounting and payroll. The kind of update I normally handled over a weekend with a sleeping bag on the floor. This time, I said nothing. I didn't warn the director in advance. I didn't make sure everyone was ready. I didn't try to be the hero, because the hero version of me wasn't allowed anymore. Tuesday morning, 8:15 on the dot, I walked in, opened my email, and sent a message to the entire organization. "Good morning. Today is a maintenance day. Expect system downtime. This will affect the entire organization, including network services and the financial software update. I will begin at 11 o'clock. Thank you for your patience." Then I went about my morning like it was any other day. At 11 o'clock, I started. Step 1. I kicked everyone off the network. Clean and fast. I had the authority and tools to do it in seconds. Step 2, I launched operating system updates on every server we had. Windows servers, Linux servers, Unix boxes, everything. Then I went to get coffee. The organization didn't just slow down, it stopped. No file server, no print server, no database server, no authentication services. People couldn't log into systems they needed. They couldn't access shared documents. Some couldn't even use the copiers properly because access depended on network authentication. They could still open local programs, but company policy forbade saving files locally. Everything lived on the servers. Even internet access got ugly because I deliberately let the servers pull updates as aggressively as possible. Bandwidth vanished. My phone started ringing. I answered with the calmest voice I could manage. IT, how can I help? Screaming on the other end. Yes, I said, I emailed this morning. Yes, it's maintenance. No, I can't give an exact time. At minimum, all day. Click. They hung up. By noon, people came back from lunch and discovered the network's still dead. Panic started spreading. By 1, managers were calling. By 2, people were walking into my office because they couldn't get through by phone. How long is this going to take? I shrugged. Hard to estimate. Large updates could be a couple days. A couple days, and that phrase hit like gasoline. Suddenly, everyone had opinions about my job. Everyone became an expert. People were furious. People accused me of sabotaging the organization. People demanded I stop it, undo it, reverse it. I kept the same line. I can't stop it once it's in motion. Because that was true. Once you initiate certain update sequences and conversions, stopping them mid-process is how you corrupt systems and turn downtime into catastrophe. The director showed up in my doorway, first angry, then confused. What are you doing? He asked. Maintenance, I said, during office hours, like the agreement says. He opened his mouth like he wanted to argue. Then he didn't. Because what could he say? He'd demanded the rule. He'd signed it. I spent the rest of the day doing exactly what I was paid to do, monitoring updates, checking progress, reading tech documentation, drinking too much coffee, while the entire organization basically sat there helpless. At 3:30, I stood up, grabbed my bag, and walked out. People stared at me like I was insane. Where are you going? Home, I said. See you tomorrow. Wednesday morning, I came in at 8:15 and checked server status. Most systems were close, but the Windows servers needed careful restarts. I restarted them one at a time, waiting for each to fully boot, verifying services, logging results. Could I have rebooted them all at once and shaved off hours? Yes. Did the agreement say I had to hurry? No. So I didn't. By the time I finished the server restarts, it was close to 2 p.m. I hadn't eaten. I took my full lunch break. Then I came back, started building the checklist for the financial software updates, and began prepping the database conversions. At 3:30, I went home. Thursday, I installed the financial software updates, one by one, exactly as the vendor recommended, then started the database conversion. Conversions take time, especially if you're doing them properly and validating results. I used the waiting time to handle smaller updates I'd intentionally saved. At 3:30, I went home. By Friday morning, the conversion completed. I brought services back up, slowly, methodically, verifying each step. I took my lunch break. Then, at 3 p.m. sharp, I sent the final email. Maintenance is complete. You may log back in and resume normal operations. Thank you for your patience. The next major update is expected in 3 to 4 months. All week, I had been the only person in the organization actually working consistently. Everyone else had either been stuck in the building, unable to do their normal work, or they'd found busy work, cleaning desks, reorganizing paper files, drinking coffee, reading magazines, trying to stay calm. Our therapy staff had been forced to take notes on paper and enter them later. The daycare staff struggled with parent communications. The adult education team had to improvise. The cafeterias were fine because I didn't touch their point-of-sale systems. I wasn't trying to burn the place down. I was making a point. And the point landed. The following week, we held another administrative meeting. This time, nobody smiled. The director brought back my old agreement. Flexible hours, after-hours maintenance, and comp time for extra work. And it wasn't a handshake anymore. It was written, signed, official. No one ever complained about my schedule again. The project manager stayed quiet after that. Years later, she actually softened. I even went to her house once, fixed her computer, installed a new printer, set up Wi-Fi. When she retired, she admitted she'd been wrong. She took responsibility, at least eventually. And as for why she had been able to push the director around in the first place, non-profit culture. In our organization, leadership treated employees like internal clients. The whole structure was built around keep the system running and keep people able to do their jobs. Complaints moved fast. Hierarchies were flat. People could walk into the director's office and speak plainly, even emotionally, and the director would have to address it. That culture can be amazing. But it also means one corporate-minded person with the right kind of confidence can walk in, call something unfair, and pressure leadership into changing what already worked without understanding why it worked. They learned the hard way. If something works, don't fix it just because it doesn't look like corporate life. Because sometimes the rule you break wasn't a perk. It was the only thing keeping the whole place online.